Hello and welcome back to the FPL Tom YouTube channel. As always, we are joined by my very good friend for our team selections. It is Jake. How are you doing? How are you feeling after game week 1, mate? Good?
Yeah, I'm just happy the football's back, but I wasn't pushing off any trees, as I think I learnt the saying was last week. Don't think I really had too much to brag about, and I think so far I may be on the wrong side of the Haaland Salah train.
Maybe, but obviously that could very easily change this week if the big Nordic meat shield goes and grabs a couple against Ipswich.
Exactly. So, how about you?
It was a very good start. There's a few iffy decisions, as we'll come to see, that I think if I'd have used my brain, then I don't think I would have made those decisions. But overall, not the worst in the world. But we'll wait and see. There could be a few changes. This week, though, I'm not expecting a lot, to be honest, with no Haaland in my side. But we'll come on to talk about that a little bit later. We do have lots of channel members in the chat. Hey, Laura, how's it going? Zane and Sally as well. Welcome to the stream. If you do have any questions throughout today's stream, get them in as me and Jake will answer them at various points. Of course, we're going to cover our teams from game week 1 and our team selections and potential chip strategy. Somebody might be activating that triple captain chip this game week, and there's a wry smile from someone on camera, and it might be potentially him. We're also going to talk, obviously, about the key data you need for this week in terms of projected goals and, of course, clean sheet data, and, of course, look at predicted points. Right, let's get straight into this. Let's just dive straight in. We're going to start off with your team, Jake, from game week 1. 54 points in the end, a rank of around 5 million for you. And it just feels a little bit, I don't know, nearly there, but not quite there, if you want to talk me through it.
I think it was the all my eggs in one basket just didn't play out. However, I've still got two more games for the biggest gamble, which is the Triple Forest.
Uh-huh.
It was fairly close to at least getting me an extra 4 points than it did. Unfortunately, Forest aren't anywhere near as good as I think I've made myself believe, and how I've fallen for the green arrows on the three first fixtures of the season. I've I've been roped in hook, line, and sinker,
Hmm.
and so far not the best. But when we've spoken about this previously, how all the transfers they build up, you can save them. You don't have to just use them every other week. And when I've made this commitment to play these three Forest players, considering the fact that they've got such a good opening set of fixtures, it would be daft for me to throw the towel in with those players immediately. I need to see it through because if they do nothing in these first three games, so be it. At least I've had them for those games and not just wasted transfers. And in that case, I will then have three slots potentially up for grabs should they not do anything to write home about. So I think that's the main error really to my ways because I think there will be plenty of people that will have been really high up in the leaderboards and will have still gone Haaland over Salah. I think it's how it correlated to the rest of the pitch that didn't support my team and didn't support my decision. And when you've got Salah getting double the points that Haaland's got, it's um it's not great when you've got players that aren't really supporting Haaland up top.
Hmm.
So yeah, I'm not disappointed to have Haaland in the team. I think in another world, maybe if I'd kept Salah, I would have, of course, done better. But like I say, it's not worth throwing the towel in yet with those Forest players. I'm not going to do anything rash. I've committed to it. I've talked the talk, and I'm going to walk the walk at least till game week 4 when they play Liverpool. Lo and behold, Bolly, Gibbs White, and Hudson-Odoi will all score against Liverpool in the 3-0 win. But I think for the time being, that's what I'm going to stick to. I did, of course, follow the trend of having Gabriel and Pep Porro. So that has, lo and behold, kept me in some kind of running. I know you say I was 5 million, but we're game week 1 and I'm 3 points off the average. So it's not been an atrocity by any means. And I think that's because I haven't gone completely against the gradient. I've
Hmm.
still kept a core set of players that a lot of people will have also gone for. I think with Pickford in goal, I think as much as they were appalling, and I've committed to the two Everton goalkeepers, I think I am going to just stick to it, stick it out, unless they start shipping 3, 4, and 5 every single match. because I feel like once again that is a popular choice at the start of the season to have him in goal. And to be honest, no one really did anything unless you went for that extra 5 million or 5.5 million by going for David Raya. But I don't think that's worth it, as we've clarified previously. I don't understand how Ben Barres and Diaz didn't score.
Yeah.
I think actually, in hindsight, having him and Stuart Armstrong on another day could have been really, really rewarding because Armstrong himself had chance after chance. I think he's someone to keep an eye on. Granted, Newcastle did have 10 men for the majority of the game, but even so, they did create chances. And I do like the look of Ben Barres and Diaz for the time being. It's just going to be an interesting one, isn't it? Because I've got Southampton against Forest next game. So hopefully that's a goal and Bolly gets one to make up for his lack of a clean sheet.
Hmm.
Jota, happy with that. He did the next best thing. He was exactly what he should be in comparison to Salah. For their value for money, Jota did just a little bit less than Salah, and he was a little bit less in value. So I was happy with that. Thanks for the advice on that one.
No worries.
And then yeah, I think the real disappointment was the fact that I had Odegaard. Didn't I could have invested that money maybe on a striker like Havertz. I could have invested that money. I believe. Bear with me 1 second. Yeah, I've got enough money to have afforded Saka. So that's a bit of a kick to the bollocks. And then, of course, I think the last thing to round it up, which I think a lot of, if not most people, were fucked over by, was Gvardiol's 7 points. I don't think there'll be many faces that will have been confident he'd have kept a clean sheet, and I assume got a bonus point for that 7.
Yeah, he did. It was a very, very late addition to the bonus point. That is something they have changed this year. I'm going to call it the Solly March rule because obviously what happened to him a few years ago. If you know, you know. But basically that changed. I think roughly maybe like 5 or 6 hours after the game. So that's
Pretty
something they
long.
can now do with bonus points and stuff like that. They can change them. So I think if you are in like head-to-head leagues and maybe you're like, oh, I've won. It's fine. This player's got X amount of points and
Don't
full
count your
bonus.
blessings.
Yeah, if you've won by 1 point, I would literally not celebrate till it's done, it's closed, it's like in. Because otherwise, you're going to probably get a situation like this a few times this year. So, just a heads up with that one as well. One of the players I wanted to point out to you was obviously you've got Kwanzaa. He's already dropped in value to 4.4 after his benching. And as a Liverpool fan, do you think it was a fair change at half time? And do you think he's going to be back in that side next week? Or do you think it's going to be Canate?
If it was purely tactical, then I feel like you've got to go with the team that started the second half because they were so much more they were so much more dominant in that half. I
Hmm.
mean, but I really don't think that was down to Kanate coming on for Kwanzaa. If anything, I think Kanate had an easier half because of how the rest of the team responded. I still feel like that would have happened with or without Kanate, but who am I to judge that? The decision ended up with us being victorious, so I really can't think too much into it because I know Kwanzaa is a quality player. I always would have thought that it would be Kanate and Van Dijk as the strongest centre half partnership, but he is clearly highly rated. And for 4.5 million, I still feel like he's a valid asset to have. I don't think that's going to be um, a regular occurrence where you see one of our centre halves withdrawn midway through the game, or at least before he gets that clean sheet potential, or at least 60 minutes point. So I feel like that was a bit of a short straw. A lot of people pulled there. It's just a bit harsh luck, really.
Hmm.
But I don't think that's something to necessarily worry about so soon in the season. I don't think you need to go and make a rash 4.5 million change just yet. But give it a week or two, then we'll know whether it's time to use him as one of those potentially grouped assets to remove.
Yeah, the other player I wanted to highlight as well was Morgan Gibbs White. It looks like he's been taken off corners. Is that a little bit of a concern for you? Because he did pick up quite a few assists last season from set pieces. So is that a little bit of a concern?
Yeah, I didn't realize that. Who's taking them now?
Hudson Odoi took some, and I can't remember who was on the other side, but it wasn't Gibbs White.
Yeah, that is a bugger. But once again, like I say with you, I think I've just got to wait it out the next 3 game weeks, see how it goes, and then I will assess who I'm keeping, who I'm getting rid of, and if Forest haven't done anything, especially and those players in particular, then it'll be a no-brainer that those are the 3 players that will be highly likely to leave my team.
Okay, okay. Fair enough. Let's move on to how your team's looking for this week. Now, I've obviously done the lineup. I don't know if you're going to agree with everyone that I've put them in the order, but what I've got for you is Pickford in goal, a back three of Porro, Gabriel, and Gavardiol, a midfield four of Diego Jota, Odegaard, Hudson-Odoi, Ben Brereton Diaz, and then a front three of Muniz, Haaland with the armband, and Isak. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I've got that. I've just got Gibbs White over Hudson-Odoi, but I think it's a bit of a toss-up, to be honest. I know,
Yeah.
like, arguably Hudson-Odoi has more chances per game, and Gibbs White has more chance created, maybe. But I think, like I said, it's a complete toss-up. I think I'd have Gibbs White just ever so slightly because of the penalty chance. But we'll just have to wait and see how that one goes. Um, I'm definitely an avid fan of being all eggs in one basket. And so if I were to stick to my word, I'd have Gibbs White and Hudson-Odoi and bench Ben Brereton Diaz, but I'm not going to do that. Ben Brereton is going to be the one guy that bucks my trend there.
Yeah.
Um, are you worried about Ped Porro? I see he's got a yellow flag on him on my phone.
Yeah, we had a few people in the comments as well asking about Pedro Porro. It looks like from a post on Instagram he's been back in training. Some detective work from FPL Focal zooming in on players' legs, and it's found the exact identical tattoo that Ped Porro has. That guy's in training as well. Obviously, just wait till Postecoglou's press conference tomorrow. You don't really have to worry about it too much. You've got plenty of depth on the bench to go with, really. Willy Bolly, and if we get positive comments from Slot around Kwanzaa, you could very easily play him as well. But for the people that are maybe looking, I would say wait till the press conference tomorrow. But from that initial Instagram photo, it is looking likely that Ped Porro will be available. So it's all good.
I really don't. I think it's so early on. I think you will have made your team. You've been a little bit. I think you're a little bit naff if you've made your team solely based on the first game week. And I don't think people that are playing this game seriously, myself included, would you believe, would have made this. That would have made their team to sit out this one game and then they'd be tinkering straight away. I think it's a waste to be making a transfer after game week 1 because you don't know. You don't know
Yeah.
anything. You
Agreed.
might think the once someone's had a stinker, I might look at Everton and be like, "Oh bloody hell, they shipped 3." But on the opposite side of things, you never know with Tottenham. They didn't look great. They
No.
they had chances, but they just had a bit of a stale outlook up front. They're still looking to click. Everton have a good track record against Tottenham, especially at the Spurs Stadium for whatever reason. And Brighton looked really bloody good. That Minter and Matoma and a Dingra, they were all causing chaos. So I feel like that would be the first place, for example. I'd be like, oh God, Everton are going to concede every single game. Game week 1, let's just get rid of him. But then it would just be so typical that that was just a blip. I think you need to see a little bit of a rhythm in the season. Just give it 2 or 3 games, and then you've got an idea, I think, as to how the remainder of the season is going to potentially sum up for those specific players.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's obviously we've only had one game week worth of data, one game week worth of performances. Certain teams obviously match better with certain teams, and especially if you're looking at Newcastle players, obviously Isak only came away with an assist, but they were down to 10 men for 70 minutes of the game. So judging their players off that one performance is just redundant because they're not going to be down to 10 for, 37 games this season. So I completely agree with your point. I think I would rather sit on a transfer this week. Then we've got more data. We kind of know favoured players as well and certain ways that systems are going to obviously be set up. Gives you more data, gives you more information as well. And I think that's key rather than making a little bit of a rash decision this week.
Yeah, agreed. Oh,
Cool?
yeah. Sound no, I completely agree with that. I think you've just echoed what I've said
Yeah.
myself.
Yeah.
You just got to take it one step at a time. Now you've made the big, bold choices by picking that initial team without any statistics. Now you have the luxury of seeing statistics. So make the most of them rather than just going in blind yet again.
Yeah.
That being said, I'm going by previous statistics of previous seasons, most likely, and I do think I'm going to chuck that triple captain on Erling Haaland.
I was going to ask you about that. Obviously, this year, there are going to be less blanks and less double game weeks off the back of that because usually game week 29 is the week where there's the FA Cup quarterfinals. And that's
Yeah,
usually the week where only like 4 Premier League teams play, the rest are in the FA Cup. That now is a separate weekend entirely, so it will never ever be a blank again. That's what they've done for this season. So it also means that we're going to have less teams blank and less teams double, meaning that realistically you've got the bench boost chip, you've got the free hit chip, you've got whatever the mystery chip is, and obviously the triple captain, all of which you are probably wanting to play in a double game week more than likely. And the one chip you would argue where you're probably going to get the best out of a single game week player is going to be that triple captain chip.
yeah, agreed. Agreed. So, I mean, what have I got to lose, Tom?
I mean, a lot. You do have a lot to lose.
But what have I got to gain?
Yeah, I think if you look at that second half in particular from Liverpool as well, it was 2.68 XG they created against Ipswich in the second half. Obviously, Pep will have probably watched that. City at home as well, as we'll come on to see with some data as well, that I think will definitely kind of, firm that decision for you as well. It is a very, very appealing option for the people with Haaland captain and maybe using that triple captain to punish people like myself that don't have Erling Haaland early on.
Yeah. Wonder how long it's going to be until we have Gundogan back in our teams.
Well, it's an interesting one because we don't really know what role he's going to be playing or how he's going to obviously set up within that side, but I think it might make Foden a little bit of a less appealing option. Because you imagine he'll be playing less down the middle this year if Gundogan's back.
Yeah, agreed.
Cool. Any other thoughts on your team at the moment?
No, I'm just going to roll with the punches for now, especially with Forest and Everton. The rest, pretty satisfactory, and I think I'm just going to go gung-ho on Erling Haaland. That's the best way to sum it up.
Gonna go for that triple captain, mate. I like it.
Yeah, believe so. I'll confirm with you on your live stream on Plug It.
Saturday morning, 8 a.m.
Saturday. 8 a.m.
Yeah, I'll be starting at 8 a.m. I know, yeah.
Well, I'll try and do it because I will be in work. I'll be in work until 12, so I will try my best.
Yeah. I want to see it. I want to see it. Unless you're playing me in head to head, then you can bugger off.
Ah, fuck it. I'll do it now. I've just confirmed it. There we
Have
go.
you actually? Have you firmed it? I rate it. I do rate it. Triple captain active. Wow. Okay. All right.
Erling
Interesting.
Haaland is triple cap. Also, if Haaland doesn't play, it's Muniz who gets the triple captain armband.
I imagine he will, but I kind of love that from you. To
No,
be honest.
I'm gonna change that to. I mean, in case that were to happen, Jota's my vice captain.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. You know what, lad? I rate the decision. We are going to get less double game weeks this year, depending what that mystery chip is as well. Like that could be absolutely anything. That could also be better used in a double game week. So it's a great opportunity. Ipswich at home.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
I mean, and looking back at past seasons, whenever people save that double captain, triple captain for those doubles, it never really comes to anything. It's always a little bit of a pre-cum moment.
Yeah, sometimes you get it right, and then sometimes it is just a little bit of a wet fart, isn't it?
Yeah, a wet fart. That's a great way of saying it. So there, I mean, I think there are definitely. I do think every season someone will have put in a haul in a single game week, which is better than those that are mostly captained and mostly triple captained. When we've seen Haaland with 2 easy games, or Salah, or I believe Solanke had 2 really easy games when I triple captained him last season, and he went and missed a penalty, scored a goal but missed the penalty. So
Yeah.
it just you can never know. But on paper, if you're looking at the games as a 38-week season, this is probably the highest probability of a single player getting high digits.
Yeah. I mean, if you just look at what Salah got against Ipswich last week, if you got 14 points from Haaland as a triple captain, I think that's not a bad going, is it?
I think I want to, yeah, you want at least 10 points.
Yeah, agreed. Cool. Right,
but I'll
let's.
take more than three.
Yeah, I'll take more than three. I'll happily take more than three. Right, we've had loads of questions in. Keep them coming in, guys. We will answer as many as we possibly can. Someone else has said TC Haaland this week. I feel we've kind of already touched on that one already. You've gone for it. Balls to the walls. 40% of the poll in the chat as well have gone for it. 49% have said no. And then 11% have said they are unsure. Murphy or Gabriel? I probably would play Gabriel this week over Jacob Murphy.
Agreed.
No Arsenal players in my team. If any suggestions based on upcoming fixtures, who should I go for? I think Saka was absolutely fantastic at the weekend, and it seems like the Arsenal defence are just as strong as they were last season, so any of those kind of players would be great pickups, to be honest.
That actually, someone saying Murphy or Gabriel has actually reminded me of a question.
Go on.
So, like I say, and I do feel like you'll stand with me,
Mm-hmm.
Kwanzaa is unlikely to be subbed on or off, isn't he? Like that was a rare occurrence. He's either going to play,
Yep.
you'd imagine,
Yeah.
or he's not.
Mm-hmm.
Is it worthwhile me playing Kwanzaa instead of Gabriel and making Gabriel my first defensive substitute?
I wouldn't do that.
You wouldn't.
I think Slot there has shown he's got bollocks. Like, you know
Yeah,
what I mean?
so if he doesn't play, so what?
No, but like what I'm saying is, if Konate's having a stinker that first half, what's to stop him doing it again?
I know, but those chances of him doing that again are the same chances as Gabriel getting sent off.
I wouldn't risk it personally for me. I think I'd
Fair
rather
enough.
just play Gabriel and not have to deal with that headache.
Yeah, fairs.
Okay, cool. Let's move on to some other questions. We'll talk about Nkuku with my team. I know he is starting tonight against Servette, which is a worry, but we'll come on to talk about that one. Thoughts on whether to sell Aina now that Moreno has joined on loan from Villa? Yeah, he probably is a 4.5 that it does look like his time is probably up with Moreno joining the club. So that one is a little bit of a doubt. Maybe plays this week as Moreno has only just joined, but longer term, probably a defender you want to start removing. Any news on Porro? Jake already brought that one up and we kind of cleared that one as well. Looks like he is going to be fine and available. Just wait for Postecoglou's press conference. FPL Aguero says, yes, Tom, you got your EFL team ready for tonight. Yes, if you are an EFL fantasy manager, the deadline is tonight, so make sure you got your teams locked and loaded. And you also asked me a player. I mean, that Kamebe, I think, got a hat trick last week, so I'd probably say go with him again. That's probably the way to go.
Who's he?
He was like a midfielder for Watford, and he got a hat trick last week, so...
Oh, nice. I went for a Watford player that I swear doesn't exist anymore.
That's good. That's good. I like that.
Yeah.
Someone said, is Robinson injured? I haven't seen anything that would suggest otherwise. I have seen that he's linked with Manchester United. So everyone that's bringing him in this week for Fulham's good run, just be wary of that one potentially happening. Sally has also said Sterling to Aston Villa. What do you think about that as a potential option further down the line?
Very, very good. I think that is a perfect suit for both Sterling and Villa, especially with Diaby leaving as well.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's definitely something to keep an eye on. Sterling is very notorious for being a big chances wasted merchant,
Oh,
but
yeah.
you'd imagine if he's going to Villa, he's going to be playing every game, if not every other game.
Yeah, I feel like Sterling is... I think he had a big offer to go to the Saudi League. So I think if he joins Aston Villa, I think that still shows that he's got that motivation to go and win.
Yeah, 100%.
Because he could very easily have just gone out to the Saudi League and just got a fat contract, never has to do anything again. He's already won pretty much every trophy at the top level, so what is the motivation? But it seems like he is a motivated player and wants to continue playing in England, so good for him. I hope it works out, and maybe a decent FPL option at some point this season.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's definitely something to keep an eye on. I hope it works for him because he's not going to play for Chelsea again. I saw that the other day that he's not playing any more minutes according to the manager.
Well, if you look at his data outside of playing for Chelsea, he's actually a really good asset at per 90 data level for City when he wasn't even getting like amazing minutes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So whether or not that was him just obviously playing for Manchester City and you get those chances created for you, but I think if you could get a decent run for Aston Villa, could be a nice option. Someone said, "Is Doku a good selection?" Obviously, wingers falling like flies over at Manchester City. Have you maybe considered Doku as a potential option?
I haven't. He did look all right. Um, but no, I haven't just yet. He's not done anything special. I think it would be typical that he does something quite well
Mm.
against Ipswich, but then who's to say that Pep doesn't give Grealish a run out and play a few of the lads that have been on the bench? Because I think I wouldn't be too surprised if he played one of his youngsters as well, just one of them, just to like implement them into the class around him because they're playing Ipswich, they're playing them at home. No disrespect to Ipswich, but I feel like that's the type of thing he would do.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. VJ said Palmer for Saka. I would not be doing that move. I think Saka was absolutely brilliant. I know they've got some difficult fixtures coming up, but I still feel he is the key danger man, to be honest. And Palmer, in this new system, he didn't look as good. He just looked like he was just sat out wide all game, didn't really create too much. But again, it is only obviously one game's worth of data, so we're going to have to wait and see on that one. Does Crystal Palace losing two centre backs give Eze less value? I mean, he's probably less likely to get clean sheet points, but I still think it makes like Eze's still Eze. He's still going to create for that side.
Oh my word, I can't believe he got that goal ruled out.
It was unbelievable, wasn't it?
That was one of the best free kicks I've seen for a while.
Mm.
And yeah, bloody referees making themselves the centre of attention.
Always are, mate. Always are. One thing I did want to quickly look at for you, Jake.
Yeah.
Obviously, we are using Fantasy Football Hub this season. If you want to go and check it out for yourself, they're continuing to run their 50% off sale. Link in the description. Also, if you want to get your team rated by their AI tool, again, that is completely free to go and use in the description. But I just want to quickly check what the AI recommendation is for your team because it gives you updated AI transfers every single week. So just give me a second to put your team in here. Where is your code? Let me go and find this for you. Oh, blimey, you couldn't have got an easy code, could you? It's so many letters. I mean numbers.
Oh, the dyslexia is striking.
Yeah, sorry, dyslexia time. Also, congratulations to everyone who got their GCSE results today. Big shout out to you guys.
Bloody hell, that was like 10 years ago for me.
I know, yeah. It's a long time ago, isn't it?
Jesus, time goes so fast.
I know,
Once you
yeah.
finish school, time goes so fast. Make the most of school, as shit as it is.
It's not though. If you look back, you're just pissed about all the time,
Yeah,
aren't you?
you'll click your fingers, GCSE heads, and you'll be looking back doing shitty FPL streams with a lad that thinks he's all that on TikTok. Um, and you'll be having a great time, but you'll also look back and be like, bloody hell, where has that last 10 years gone?
Yeah, 100%. We've had Varun. Again, apologies if I'm mispronouncing that name. Lewis for Walker, he says. Obviously, Walker didn't feature. Lewis looked pretty good in the opening game week, and I do expect him to play again, to be honest.
Yeah, he gets forward as well, doesn't he? Like for a defender,
Hmm.
he plays in that Rodri kind of role, doesn't he?
Yeah, yeah,
But then he bombs forward. So yeah, he is definitely someone to keep an eye on. It's just the shame. It's just a shame that Pep Roulette exists, really.
yeah. It does. It does. I think it is very much a short-term punt. And if you are looking for a City defender for this week and have cover to obviously, when the inevitable, rotation starts to happen, you've got cover for it. But there's a nice 2-week punt. Ipswich at home, you would say they're probably one of the favourites to go and get a clean sheet as well. So potentially. People are talking about their GCSEs as well. Scott said, my daughter got his GCSEs today. I got mine 36 years ago. And FPL Shane said he got his in the year 2000. The same year I
And
was
I was two
born.
years old.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was, I was born in 2000. So,
And
eesh.
we're laughing at you, mate, but we're also going to be laughed at soon enough.
Yeah, yeah, indeed. The AI for you, Jake, has recommended that you roll this week. So, your decision was right. But it has given you an alternative option. And the alternative option is to sell Hudson-Odoi for Eze. Would that be something that you maybe consider?
I don't think so. I think I'll hold for this week. just
Okay.
because I've got such a good just because Forest have got those 3 games,
Hmm.
and I think it would be a little bit rash for me to commit to Forest, like I said, only to then take out of the little blimp in the roads. I'm going, oh, screw it, that didn't work. I think I should wait, because if I wait and it doesn't work, so be it, because I've got 3 transfers built up.
Yeah, yeah, agreed, agreed. And I mean, they've got decent fixtures, so why not have a little bit of fun with it?
Yeah,
He is playing. Sorry, I was just checking Fantasy EFL, seeing, making sure my player was playing. You went for Jaffa, right?
Jatta.
Jatta, yeah, sorry. Yeah, he is.
Got Jatta, and I've also got Platt.
Cool. Uh, FPL Shane just put depressed.
Why?
Because obviously we've just said how old we are.
Ah,
And yeah, sorry, mate. Sorry, mate.
yeah. Well, you've got the beauty of your kids, so
Yeah,
enjoy their day.
yep, 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 yep. I mean, hi Tom. Do we play Kwanzaa or find a replacement? I think if you've got bench cover, play the bench cover over Kwanzaa. To be honest, that would be my recommendation. We are going to answer more questions at the end of the stream, so keep them coming in. Make sure you are liking the stream as well, as it does push it out to more people. And if you do enjoy the content that you see on the channel, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, as we are closing in on 7,000 subscribers. Things are getting a bit nuts, to be honest, and things are starting to get a bit wild. So yeah, thank you for your continued support of the channel. Right, we're going to move on to my team and talk through what happened in game week 1. Much better of a week for me than Jake. I picked up 71 points. 1.26 million is the rank, so not too bad. But as you can see, there were a few stinky mistakes in there from myself that have just really let the team down. The Kwanzaa one, it is what it is. I took a gamble. If I obviously hadn't have played him, I would have had Gvardiol. My original plan was to have Dunk on the bench. We would have been 6 points better off, but it is what it is. We've now had to eat that Kwanzaa 0.1 deduction as well, which is not the greatest. The other issues as well, Anthony Gordon, I always knew he was only going to get 60 to 70 minutes, so I don't know why I didn't take a gamble on Jota. Like, my dad said to me the other day, he was like, you literally said in your stream, Gordon will play 60, 70 minutes. Why did you not put Jota in? It was just idiot, like complete idiot from me. And Cuckoo, like, oh, this guy. The whole before the deadline was the fact that Eze was leaving, and like the bookies had obviously switched their odds to say that Eze has a higher probability of leaving than staying. So I was like, right, I'm gonna take him out. I'm gonna put Nkuku in. He'll be fine. Now he's 57th minute gets subbed off. He's playing tonight against Servette in a heavily rotated side. So it's just like, oh my god, what do I do with this guy? Absolute clown. And then the other bed shitter has to be Son. I forgot to do bed shitter of the week, Jake. I forgot to do bed shitter of the week.
It's all right. We can just have a little mention. Don't you worry.
Oh, okay, okay.
I don't think anyone's massively shat the bed this week, to be honest. I
Oh,
think it's
and Cuckoo, Fabian Scher,
Pickford.
Pickford. Yeah, there's a few. There's a few. I won't.
Oh, there's so many bed shitters now. I think about it.
One of them was Son as well. He was really bad. Did you watch the game on Monday?
I saw Porro scored. I then didn't really catch too much of the second half. Just saw clips of Vardy just having off the Spurs fans.
Yeah.
Um, but no, I saw Solanke had a couple. I saw the majority of the first half, and then kind of just had to catch clips of the second half. But it didn't seem like Spurs were clicking quite as much as they should be. But it is early days with a new striker.
It is, but he looked really bad. Like, genuinely,
Really?
one of the worst performances I've ever seen from Son. And obviously, with me not having Haaland, I need these players to obviously perform. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I need these guys to be at least getting enough points, especially to counterset this week. Like, I'm not dumb enough to know that Haaland's going to blank this week. He is going to score. It's inevitable. It's more this week is damage limitations, and I need these other players to be picking up as many to kind of offset that as possible. And with Son looking that poor, just yeah, a frustration really, to be honest, with Son more than anything. Rest of the team though, pretty happy with. No other complaints about that. Saka great, Salah great, Saliba, Porro excellent. Muniz, I think, has got a great run here, so no issues there. And then we obviously spoke about Isak as well, so I'm completely fine with that and completely happy with that, to be honest. George Kent, he's been a member of the FPL Tom fan pack, or its unofficial name, the Soggy Biscuit Club, for 5 months. Congratulations, mate. Thank you very much for your continued support of the channel. Obviously, if you do want to become a channel member like George, and also get yourself as one of the channel moderators eventually, make sure you are clicking that join button. It only costs 99p. You get plenty of perks. It's pretty good stuff, as I imagine some of the channel members will big up in the chat. We will move on and we'll take a look at how my team is lining up for this week. Let me just switch everything quickly around. And there we go. This is how the team is lining up for this week. So we've got Henderson in goal. Yeah, is what it is. I think Palace losing Anderson's a bit of a blow, to be honest, defensively. But it looks like they're going to bring in another centre-back, so maybe it'll offset it. But I'm not too arsed with my 4.5 million goalkeepers. I'm never going to waste a transfer on that, to be honest. We've gone for a back three of Saliba, Porro and Gvardiol. We've got Harwood, Bellis if Porro does miss out through injury, so that's fine. Midfield of Saka, Salah with the armband, and Cuckoo, Gordon and Son. And then up top, we've got Alexander Isak and Muniz. In terms of my transfers, I was planning on rolling, but Nkuku's putting some serious doubts in there. Son's disappointment has also put some doubts in there. So, yeah. And there's one player that is tickling the pickle a little bit. It's Phil Foden.
Yeah.
Obviously played half a game, against Chelsea. Son not looking great. Ipswich at home. It just is very, very appetizing, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get that. I do get that. But with Gundogan start signing, was that not going to just be a quick in and out transfer, and you're still back to no transfers built up?
Yeah, potentially, and obviously the big thing for Son as well is the fact that Everton are going to be playing with a makeshift back line.
He also likes scoring against Everton, by the way.
He does. No Tarkowski, no Branthwaite. So I'm starting to look at that and go, maybe I just give him one last chance. You know what I mean?
Yeah, let me just have a look at what I love to have a look at.
The head-to-heads. Go on.
How did the head-to-head go? Because I mean, I vaguely remember Everton having actually not a bad record when they go away to Spurs for whatever reason. But the actual head-to-head of Spurs against Everton, I do feel like Son and Kane just annihilated them.
Diddled them every week, yeah.
Yeah, so last game it was Richarlison, wasn't it, with a brace?
Yeah.
But that was a Goodison. Last time at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, it was a Son goal, 2-1. He scored once. Before that, before that, it was just Kane. Maybe it was just Kane that did everything. Oh, no, Son goal, 2 assists.
Yeah, as long as he's picking up assists.
Yeah, so at home, and there's Everton winning. It's a bit of a toss up this game. I feel like it really could go either way. Well, not either way. I don't really feel like Everton are going to go gung ho, but they could sneak something. And if it stays level, you never know with Everton. They could nick a 1-0.
Yeah.
But if Spurs score once, they'll probably win the game.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Son with 2 there. Yeah, I reckon looking at that, going back to 2016. Son has scored, I think, 3 and assisted 2.
It's not great then.
Well, I mean, when you against one club, that's not too bad.
In 8 years.
Yeah, but I'm talking what 4? No, I'm talking like what 6 fixtures at home. I'm only looking at the home games, by the way.
Okay. It's not
away games. A lot of them I was looking at. It was only Kane that seemed to score.
Okay.
Oh no. Spurs won 6-2 at Goodison Park, and Son scored twice and got an assist.
Okay.
So actually, I take it all back. That's not too bad. Although the argument I guess you can have is, has Son been the same ever since Kane left?
Yeah, he was decent last year.
I feel like he's gone down. Not gone down, but I do feel like he misses Kane there.
Potentially. He didn't look great on Monday night, and it was a big concern for me.
He's a great player, no doubt, but I think he needs someone that will find him and feed the ball to him and play and like he'll play off the person. Whereas Solanke, as much as he can do that, and of course it was his first game, I think he is someone that will be in the box, of course, a lot more than Kane. Whereas Kane was that hold-up player,
Yeah,
and Son would whiz in behind him. Um, but yeah, there's still time for them to connect, and I feel like at home it would be quite fitting for Solanke to get his first goal there. The
yeah,
fans will be up for it. And Spurs will definitely be up for it because of how the Leicester game went and because of how they've seen Everton play.
yeah. I think for me, if I had Solanke, I'd feel a lot more confident and wouldn't worry because I thought he had chances and looked quite bright.
Yeah.
So if it was the other way around, I had Solanke, I don't think it would be an issue.
I think you've got to stick with him this week. I
Mm.
really do. I think you're going off one game, and that's what I'm thinking. Like you're
Yeah, yeah,
going
yeah.
off one game and you're going off one game where you're saying, and the person you're going to bring in for a guy that played the majority, if not the whole 90 minutes, and was shit, don't get me wrong,
Mm.
or was non-existent. But then you've got Foden who played 30 minutes, and don't get me wrong, he might start, but he might not because it is Ipswich at home. And if he does start, there's so much chance that he'll get subbed off after 45 minutes, a lot more chance than Son. So I feel like giving it another game week will potentially give you more of an idea over which player is better.
Yeah.
And I think it's a little bit different. Son and Foden clash. Like I feel like both of them have got chance to really. Uh, if we're going off the first game of the season, Ipswich showed more than Everton.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So I do feel like as much as it's let's be no, I'm not kidding myself by saying Ipswich are going to give City much of a game. They'll try their best, but I just feel like they will have more chance of sticking together a little bit more than Everton, who could actually crumble.
Okay.
And there's Son with a potential chance of what's the word? Well, making the most of it.
Yeah. Obviously, if you had Nkuku, there are severe doubts around him as well, potentially featuring like he's playing tonight, so it's not looking great for his future minutes. Would you transfer him out this week?
No, you've got Harwood Bellis on the bench. I think he's more than capable to
Mm.
fill in a home game against Forest.
Yeah.
I think after you saw how Forest played against Bournemouth, who've lost Solanke, they've got Unal who's injured. Semenyo, fair play, filled in up front and scored, but I feel like that's a little bit of a disappointing performance. I think for Forest fans, they'd have been right up for that as a win
Mm.
and been like, let's kick this season off. That's a really big game, and they've not been able to. And now Southampton will feel exactly the same way because Forest will most likely be in and around the bottom six,
Yeah.
let's say.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so Southampton know if they're going to stay off the season, this is a game they have to win. And I can see it happening, to be honest. As much as I've backed the Forest players to some extent, I feel like I can really see it happening.
Mm.
I love how I've said this actually. Now that I've said this out loud, I've just clocked
You've got
that
three
I'm.
Forest players. Yeah.
I've got no, I've got three Forest players, and I know I'm saying I'm back. I can see Southampton win, and I can. But of course, I've got three Forest players because of the three green games,
Mm.
and yet I've benched two of them.
Nice.
But that's a query for another day because I mean I was tempted to play them both instead of Odegaard and Gabriel,
Hmm.
but I'm trying to be as sensible as possible this
No,
season.
I think playing Odegaard and Gabriel is probably the better way around to go with it.
It's just a way to Villa. I feel like that could be a really difficult game for Arsenal.
Well, Villa did the double over them last year,
Mm,
but I feel like Arteta will be looking at that and thinking, right, that's where we dropped points last season that maybe cost us the title. How do I beat Emery this season?
yeah, definitely.
Cool. Obviously, as well, I think there's one player, and I'll ask you the same. Actually, we'll start with you first. One player you saw this week that you really wish you'd selected and are obviously going to try and find a way to get into your team.
Um, well, I mean, Salah would have been bloody brilliant. I would have
Mm,
loved to have had him in my
mm.
team, but I think that's just a bit of an
But you
obvious
you
one.
like chose Haaland. You chose that route, didn't you? So
Yeah. Let me just have a little reminder. Probably Havertz, you know.
mm, mm. He did look
I,
good.
I I was surprised by how good he looked.
Yeah, agreed, agreed.
And he got himself a goal and an assist. No, I think he's definitely someone to keep an eye on. I thought Minter looked bloody brilliant against Everton.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He
He
looks like
was
a
an
great enabler.
absolute menace. I think the issue with him is though he's got Matoma and of course Adingra, and they're all very similar players. So I think minutes could be a little bit hit and miss for like the game that you decide to bring him in. He might not play that full 60 minutes that you need to get the 2 points.
Yeah, yeah.
Especially with Matoma and Adingra both scoring. Um, yeah, I'd say Havertz is probably the main one.
Okay, okay. I think for me, one player that I regretted not putting in my team was Trent. I thought he looked
That's okay.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Picked up the most expected assists in game week 1 as well. So, yeah, big fan of him. And I'm going to try and find a way to get him in for your good run after, I think it's like maybe like 4 or 5. I think that's when I'm going to try and get him into the team, to be honest.
Yeah, well, game week through. It's Brentford, then it's United, and then I have no clue who we've got next.
Let me quickly get it up. Yeah, Brentford and United. So obviously, if I bank a couple transfers, which was originally the plan, but some players are now putting doubts in that being a possibility. But it's Brentford United, then it's Nottingham Forest, Bournemouth at home, Wolves
Oh, both
Palace.
at home.
Yeah, and then Wolves Palace Chelsea as the run after that.
Is
So,
Chelsea away or home?
I mean, I wasn't overly
That's
impressed
at
with them.
home.
It's at home as well, so that's
Wow.
that's a great run for Trent and for Salah, really.
Men away to Arsenal. Stinky.
Yeah, but up until that point.
Yeah,
So
I think the points very tasty.
yeah, I think we're gonna try and find a way to get Trent in this team. To be honest,
Yeah, fair enough.
that's the sexy boy that I'm looking for. To be honest,
Who's
uh,
most likely to be dropped out of the main three?
it'd probably be Porro.
Fair enough. The one that got the most points this week.
Yeah, the one that got the most points. But like it was Spurs. They showed that they're just not a good defense still. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
like there's only going to be so many weeks where he will get attacking returns. But like sometimes you need it where they get a clean sheet some weeks. And I feel Trent's got both of that in his ability, like team wise to get a clean sheet and also his individual brilliance to get an attacking return.
Yeah, fair enough.
So yeah, I'm a bit hard for Trent at the moment. So yeah. Right.
Stop giving chat.
Let's move on to some data. Obviously, we use this guy in the Euros, and it was really, really helpful if you remember back for those streams. It is Rob T FPL. It is, of course, the betting data with projected goals and projected clean sheets. The big standouts for this week are, of course, Manchester City, 3.3 expected goals, 55% chance of a clean sheet. Meanwhile, Ipswich with 0.6 and only a 4% chance of a clean sheet. So the bookmakers really not fancying Ipswich to get anything out of that game. So bodes well for you and your Haaland triple captaincy there, doesn't it?
Yeah, it just reminds me of when every time that they play Burnley at home, I feel like, and they just win 5-0.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's what I have in my head.
Yeah,
And you know what? If I'm wrong and Ipswich win, I'll be the first man to say that I'm made up. But unfortunately, I feel like it could be a bit of a trouncing.
yeah. I think a lot of people are suggesting that as well. If you look at every bookmakers, I think the highest price you can get for Ipswich or the best price is like 20-1. Some might even be offering 22-1. So they're really, really not fancying Ipswich to get anything out of this game.
Yeah.
Interestingly, second best team is Liverpool. 2.95 projected goals, 40% chance of a clean sheet as well. So bodes well for the Jotas, the Salahs, the Trents, Robertson if you went down that route as well.
Kwanzaa.
Not Kwanzaa. We're never
Do you
speaking.
think that'll be Canate starting?
I think it'll be Kanate starting. Yeah, to be
Fair
honest.
enough. Yeah,
What?
I mean, I don't think you can have any complaints with that because the second half team were so much better.
Yeah, yeah. I think he'll stick with that. To be honest. What about Robertson as an option? 6 million. Put up similar numbers to Trent Alexander-Arnold, and is 1 mil cheaper.
I think over the course of the season, you'll find he'll be found out though a little bit more, as in like I feel like Trent will have considerably more points.
Hmm.
I don't think Robertson's worth 6 million, if I'm being honest. I think Trent's worth the money he is, but I think Robertson should be closer to 5.
Okay, okay. All right, I can get on board with that. Other suggested teams, well, predicted teams to do quite well this week. Spurs. Obviously, it bodes well for me and my son and people with Solanke. 2.35 and a 36% chance of a clean sheet as well. So, Porro looking pretty good for that clean sheet. Third highest expected clean sheet odds on here and pretty good for goals as well. So, maybe is worth keeping Son for one more week.
I would say so, mate. I really do think you should keep him, especially when you don't know how the season's going to go. One game does not define the season.
No, agreed, agreed.
I would say you need to give them at least two, if not three games for a good idea
Yeah,
of how the team's going to gel.
yeah, okay. I reckon we'll just roll anyway this week and see where we're at. Other teams, and then you've kind of got three that are all very similar in terms of clean sheet and projected goals. Fulham against Leicester, Arsenal against Aston Villa, and Wolves against Chelsea, all with kind of the lower 30s and kind of close to two projected goals on those. Any kind of standout you take away from that, mate?
I'm actually trying to load up your stream at the moment because
Hmm.
I've gone on YouTube to look down to give you a response, and the bloody adverts have started.
Oh, well, that's good. Like, you're getting me some money, so thank you for that, mate.
Um, so could you repeat the question, please?
I just said, is there like any standouts between Arsenal, Villa, Wolves, Chelsea, and Fulham, Leicester there for you?
I think Arsenal, to be honest. I think I'm quite surprised, to be honest, that they're that high. I really don't think it's going to be a very high scoring game. I think that could be a 0-0. I think it could be one goal each way.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I think the 16% clean sheet's quite surprising for Villa, especially when I swear they won 1-0 at home last season. Um, but yeah, I also think you've got a valid point in saying that he's going to be doing anything he can, Arteta, to make up for the points that he lost, and he'll be pinpointing those games specifically.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Uh,
And it's also going to be interesting to see how Chelsea do because they do not look like a team yet again because they've got about four teams in one.
they really
But they're
have.
playing against a team that have been quite shot. Like they've just been a bit shit over the past 6 months, I'd say. They've not really done anything, and maybe that's a good thing for Wolves.
I think if I remember correctly, they're winless in 12.
Yeah,
Like,
they've just
and this run at the start of the season is really difficult. They could very easily get into like a landslide effect here and just be like towards the bottom. And if they fail to pick up momentum, then they could be in for a long season.
yeah, I agree.
Other two fixtures I wanted to talk through quickly: Brighton, Manchester United. Obviously, a lot of people have brought in Mazraoui because obviously he did quite well in game week 1. People have brought him in. I've said in all my videos, I think that's a mistake to go and get him. There's going to be some rotation within that
Especially
United team.
against you, especially against Brighton. Didn't they do the double last year?
Yes, they did the Brighton. Brighton have got a fantastic record at the Amex against United as well. So it's a dumb decision. It always happens. You get the casuals just bringing in willy nillys anyway.
The only thing I will say is though, Pascal Gross ain't there to
Pascal
help with
Gross, the
anything.
guy who always gets a 10 against them, has gone. So maybe that's a different one. And then the other fixture I wanted to point out was the Southampton Forest one. The bookmakers cannot predict which way that fixture is going to go. They've given a slight advantage for projected goals and for clean sheets towards Southampton. So maybe suggesting that Ben Burton Diaz is going to be the better pick for you, but it's marginal at best.
Yeah, he got taken off after 70 minutes. So that's the only thing I'm a bit wary of.
He
But
was on a yellow though, and was being a bit shithousery to say the least.
was
So
he?
yeah, yeah. So that's probably more a precautionary thing than anything else.
Fair enough.
Any other takeaways you've got from that, or all good?
No, all good. I think. How do Everton look here? Not great.
Not great.
Nice.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I really do think that just goes to show that Son is definitely worthy of another week.
All right, we'll give him one more week. We'll give him one more week, and
And
then
Nkunku, the only issue with Nkunku is, of course, the sheer amount that they've got a whole secondary school of players.
they have Andy's playing tonight with the rotation boys, which is not good at all.
No, that
So
doesn't
yeah, that's a
sound.
problem.
But you could always play hard with Bellis because, like looking at those statistics,
Mm.
that is probably a safe option because there is a very high probability that finishes 0-0.
Yeah, I think I'll stick with Nkuku though, just in case he gets like 60 and does something. But we'll wait and see. Right, let's finish up. Let's move on to today's final section. Then we'll answer some of your questions for you guys. I'm going to be live tomorrow. We're going to do like a deadline decisions type stream. Obviously, the deadline is on Saturday, but we'll do a stream tomorrow night going through all the key data, answering your guys' questions as well. So make sure you get them in for that one. Or if we don't answer your questions in today's one, there will be another stream. And of course, I will be live on Saturday morning for the deadline from 8 all the way up until 11. So this is the Fantasy Football Hub predicted points tool for the next 5 game weeks. Obviously, if you want to go and check it out, a link in the description is available for that one. And the big two, they're neck and neck over the next 5 game weeks. Erling Haaland and Mohamed Salah. It's ridiculously close. There's nothing to split the two. 0.1 of a point. Whew. I guess it's me versus you, isn't it, lad?
Yeah. I think 0.1 of a point would suggest though that Haaland is scoring at least one more than Salah. It's just that midfielder position, isn't it?
Mm, mm.
Um, but then you've also got to bear in mind that Salah is most likely to get more assists, and his all-round gameplay is a lot more exciting to have in your team.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think value for money, Salah on that basis is a no-brainer.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think, well, I mean, don't get me wrong, Tom, if Haaland doesn't do anything at the weekend, Salah will be in for him by the end of the month.
Yeah. I think a lot of people. This ultimately is the big week, isn't it? For
Yeah, and also you've got this week, then you've got one more week where I don't know who City have, quite frankly, game week 3. Um,
let me have a look. They've got West Ham away.
okay, I don't mind that. West Ham are a bit shoddy themselves,
Mm,
and Haaland could score there most easily.
yeah.
Great English. However, I think the big game changer is when Salah plays United in game week 4 because he bloody loves United.
It's actually game week 3, that one.
Oh, well, in that case, that works quite nicely because if Haaland has a stinker this weekend,
Yeah.
it can be those two swapped straight away.
Ahead of his good run as well with Forest, Nottingham,
Yeah,
Forest,
exactly.
Bournemouth, Wolves
Yeah,
as well.
that was in my mind. They've got
Yeah.
such a good run of games, and it starts with the team that I swear he scored mostly against.
Mm. Very much so. Like I said, it is all for the people that have gone Haaland or Salah. This for me feels like the big week. I think the first game week, Salah captain has won, and people that went the Salah route, like myself. Now it's probably going to be the Haaland owners that you would imagine are going to be out on top, but it's more how much damage can he do to those people that went without him.
I think the people that have gone Salah, I think for them to actually feel it, Haaland needs to at least, at the very least, have 3 goal involvements. I think,
Yeah,
or score, at least score twice. He needs to score twice or get a goal and 2 assists. Because if he's not getting more, if he's not getting double figures, I think the Salah lads have won the start of the season battle,
yeah,
regardless of what happens. Because the main reason I had Haaland in was because I was looking at that Ipswich at home and thought Liverpool away to Ipswich doesn't look quite as tasty as the City at home to Ipswich. And look what's happened. Salah's got a goal and assist. So
yeah.
the only response Haaland can get here really is at least 2 goals. He should be getting a hat trick, quite frankly. Um, but then, of course, you run the risk of him being taken off.
Yeah. I think that's the thing for you as well with you activating the triple captainship for Haaland. You need him to score realistically first, because if City go like 2 or 3-0 up, and he's not been involved in any of the goals,
He could get taken off.
City
Yeah.
could very easily go and put another 4 or 5 in the back of the net. But my big concern would be looking at that going 60 minutes. Probably Pep's licking his lips, thinking, right, let's chuck. I don't know who they've got. They'll have like some child off the youth academy to go and play up front for the last 10.
Yeah, it'll be some probably Paul Dick off son or something.
Paul Dickoff's son. Moving on to some other players. Eze in third. Was you expecting that?
Not at all. Who is it Palace have got?
Well, it's quite a nice run, to be honest. There's a few mixed bags in there, but this week is West Ham at home, Chelsea away in game week 3. Then it's Leicester at home, United at home, Everton away, then Liverpool in match day 7. But that's not being included in there. So some pretty decent home fixtures for Palace. And he did look really, really good in game week 1. Was also your AI recommended transfer for this week for Hudson-Odoi. Is that maybe suggested you should
Who
maybe
is it
take
you
a look
said
at?
they've got first?
They've got West Ham first at home.
It's tasty, isn't it? It
It
really
is
is.
tasty.
No, I'm gonna stick. The only reason I'm gonna say, as much as that looks great, and if it was later on in the season, I probably would go for it.
Mm,
But I don't want to do that and it to be nothing and to be next week in the same position where I've got no transfers built up. I think realistically, come game week 3, I want to have the opportunity to be able to work Salah in.
okay. All right. Okay. Palmer in 4th, a player we've not discussed at all, to be honest. Has he maybe entered your thought process in at that 10.5 million price tag?
Not at the moment, and I mean, of course, like I've said, looking to get Salah in, 10 million is a lot of money to fork out. Um, and there are alternatives, I think, that are better suited for price. Price is a lot cheaper. I
Mm,
mean, even to push as far as Saka, who I believe is he 10 mil? Yeah, he is
yeah.
10 mil. So he's cheaper than Palmer, but I believe Saka is a better asset to have. So I don't think he's worth the money, quite frankly. I think if Palmer was at like 9 million, I think that would be a worthy increase of him. But I think the increase in his value from last season is a little bit silly.
Okay. Okay. All right. All right. Some other players I wanted to point out. We've already discussed Trent Alexander-Arnold and Robertson. They are the highest defenders on this points and the only defenders that I can see actually on the hub predictor. Are those two players you maybe going to try and find a way to get into your side?
I think Trent's definitely someone to keep an eye on. I think, like I said before, Robertson is just a little bit too expensive.
Hmm.
For I would say you're more reliant on him keeping a clean sheet most of the time for consistency.
Yeah.
You're not relying on that goal out like the goal or assist output as much as you are with Trent. Whereas with Trent, you've got that openness to allow him to concede because he's quite likely to create a few chances or pop in with one himself.
Okay. Okay. Oh, I forgot what I was going to ask you then. I was going to ask you something and I completely forgot. There it is. Did you see what the Fantasy Football Hub AI team scored this week?
No.
It got 91 points.
Wow.
It absolutely blew it out of the water. It also went no Haaland. But yeah,
Wow.
it absolutely smashed it this week. So,
What was that team?
if I remember correctly,
Well,
it
was there a standout player that went
no
under the radar?
Havertz. Havertz has to be the one it had. It had Havertz up front. It had Isak. I think it had Muniz. It had Salah, Saka, Jota, Eze, and then it had like Saliba. No, Gabriel.
Oro?
No, Gavardiol and Trent as its back line. So it did extremely, extremely well, to be honest.
Wow.
So yeah, maybe
Who's
something.
in goal?
It had Pickford in goal, but I mean, there wasn't really any kind of standout goalkeepers this week. So, as I've always said as well, I don't think goalkeepers are worth too much to kind of
No.
worry about. But yeah,
Because
maybe it's
Raya is probably the best one.
yeah,
Or even you could argue having Allison would have been all right, but they're both too expensive. It's
yeah,
not worth spending that extra point 0.5 or a million.
yeah. Scotty says I got 92 points and the hub rated my team 99 out of 100. I'm tempted to sign up. Well, go for it, mate. They're still running their 50% off sale. And if you do use my link, you help this channel out a little bit as well. So a win-win. We'll answer some more of your guys' questions before we finish up. Like I said, there will be a stream tomorrow. And of course, I'll be live for the deadline from 8 o'clock in the morning as well to help you guys out and do some team ratings as well. Is Bailey a good player, or do you think Rodgers is better?
I'd say Rodgers is better.
I think Rodgers is better for the price point, but I
Yeah.
think with Sterling joining the club, that could throw a few curveballs in there. They've also got Philogene as well, European football. I'm starting to go off these Villa players a little bit, to be honest.
Yeah, I think the only one you can really rely on is Watkins at that point. But even then, Duran's filling the boots well.
Someone's just said Crowley's got an assist. Oh, it's a Jatta goal.
I don't actually think I put him in the end.
Oh no, Jatta goal, Crowley assist. We are cooking, baby. We're
Who did I
back.
go for in the end? What's your team then? Just to go off tangent a second.
No, no, that's fine. So obviously we've got Crowley.
No,
Uh,
I took Jatta out for bloody Andy Cook.
oh, not Andy Cook. I had him last week. So I've got Ryan Boot in goal for Chesterfield. Clark from Middlesbrough. Halliday from Bradford. Molyneux captain. Ben Wiles. Dan Crowley, who's playing tonight and already got an assist. Latte Lat up front. And then Huddersfield and Doncaster Rovers.
Oh, do you only have one striker? I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah, yeah. If you just put an extra midfielder in, it will drop it. But like the midfielders score a lot better than the strikers do, I've noticed. So I've just trying something different a bit this week.
Who did you back in the teams?
I went Huddersfield and Doncaster.
I've gone Huddersfield and County, so that's a good start at
Hey,
least.
county winning, lad. One more goal and maybe a clean sheet.
Yeah, so I've got McGee, because of course I'm going the Super White Army on Saturday,
Mm-hmm.
home to Walsall. I've got Platt in defence, and the way things are going, it's promising. 9 minutes in.
Mm-hmm.
Hellick, I've gone. Huddersfield home to Shrewsbury. I've gone Poku captain for Peterborough. He scored twice last week.
Yeah.
I've got vice captain Molyneux, and then I've got Louis Barry and Andy Cook.
Nice, nice.
And then I've got County and Huddersfield, like I said.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well,
I think this team could do all right, but I was in and on over Jassa, and I hope Andy Cook doesn't make me eat my words.
where are you ranked?
I don't think I'm anything to really shout about.
Oh,
How do you find that out?
it should just say on rankings.
Hold on 1 second. Let me just close the app. It's just having a bit of a seizure.
If you go to rankings, it says where you
Oh
are.
yeah.
Mine's already jumped up from last week. I'm 2,186. Pretty good
It's
going.
not showing me. I've just clicked on rankings,
Mm-hmm.
and then it just shows me my team.
Okay. I mean, we'll figure it out afterwards. We are live, you know. There are people just sat here, just watching us two, just pretend to be granddads.
Oh, I didn't see you there.
Absolute boomers, just looking at our phones here. Right, let's answer some of your guys' questions. Michael has said, "Is it worth starting in Buemo against Liverpool over Harwood Bellis?" What do you
No,
reckon?
not at all.
I think it is.
No,
I
I think there's a bigger chance Howard Bellis keeps a clean sheet than Mbuemo gets a goal or assist, because Liverpool may concede. I'm not denying that, but then for you to specifically identify it as Mbuemo when you're at Anfield, I think you can't necessarily pinpoint a goal scorer at Anfield
Hmm.
unless it's bloody Bobby D Cordova-Reid. He loves a goal,
I mean, he
but
is on penalties though.
no, I would go Howard Bellis there.
Yeah. Let's have a look what other questions we've got. I'm just having to scroll through here. Looking at the HUD predictor, I'm thinking of dropping Gordon to Eze. What do you reckon on that one, lad?
Yeah, fair enough. I'm saying that of the mind of if you are confirmed that you're going to make a transfer, but like I say, I'm an avid fan of hold on for a week or two.
Yeah, I think that's probably my advice as well, is hold on for a week or two. The next question is probably, if you've got yourself into that position, a very difficult one. It says, what to do with Kwanzaa now? Drop to 4.4. I have Konza, not to get confused, against Arsenal and Barco. Obviously, Barco has departed for Sevilla, so his price is going to be locked in at 4 million. You don't have to worry about that one, but obviously, again, you've still not got a playing player. With Kwanzaa dropping to 4.4, unless you've got money in the bank, you are gonna have to move to a 4 million defender. That's the be all and end all. If you've got money in the bank, maybe it is worth it because you've not got too much defensive cover. And I think you probably, realistically, Robinson would be one of the better picks with a strong Fulham set of fixtures. However, if you've not got that money in the bank, I think it might be worth risking playing Kwanzaa this week or Konza and just giving it another week and seeing how it goes. Because we never know. Slot could very easily go, right, Konate, I brought you in, but I still want to try out Kwanzaa for this week. And he could be back into the side. Or you never know. You know what I mean? Like it's worth giving yourself another week of data. I don't imagine his price is going to drop again before the deadline. So again, more data, two transfers, then we can sort it out a little bit. And I wouldn't be too worried about playing Konza if I had to against Arsenal. Like we said, Villa did the double over Arsenal last season. At home as well, you would imagine that they could get something out of that game and could get a clean sheet. So I'd say don't worry about it. Save the transfer. Play Konza. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think so. I think so too.
Yeah. Sweet. I came late. What did Tom say about triple captain? I mean, Jake's probably the man for this as he's triple captain in Haaland. Talk me through the process, lad, for people that have just joined the stream.
I think the only thing that I will say, because of course I know people, if you know this show enough now, you'll know that a lot of the time Tom says the complete opposite to what I say because my stuff that I say is nonsense. But I do like to justify my decisions. And I do feel like I've got a point in this situation, um, especially if you're a Haaland owner. If you're a Salah owner and don't have, and I'm, well, no, let's just start that again. I imagine the triple captain question is only being raised for Haaland. I don't think you would triple captain if you have anyone else this week.
No.
So if you have Haaland and you don't have Salah, I feel like you need to do something about the fact that you've got Haaland when Salah has hit the ground running. I also feel like with your comments about there not being that many, there's less potential for decent double game weeks or double game weeks whatsoever. There's less potential for blanks. And we've got that extra chip, the special chip, which we don't know about yet. I just feel like if you're gonna face all the fixtures of the 38 game season on a difficulty basis, City at home to Ipswich is bound to be the highest rating for chance of goals, chance of domination, and chance of a victory. So I just feel like it's a no-brainer. It's like I feel like us managers on the you right?
Crowley's just scored.
Bloody hell.
He caught the ball. He caught the ball and has put it in the net.
He
Oh,
caught it.
like they're just showing a replay here. It hits both his arms as he chests it down and puts it in the back of the net.
Oh, of course, no VAR as
No
well.
VAR, it's leaked. Oh my, that's a terrible decision from the officials. 2-0, a goal and an assist. Oh my Gideon. We're
Who
flying.
got the assist? Platt?
Jody Jones.
Ah,
Yeah,
bloody Jody
I
Jones.
know, yeah. Oh my god. Well, we're flying.
Wowzer.
Sorry to interrupt you there, mate. Just.
No, I'd be exactly the same if it was big whatever Platt's first name is.
Yeah.
Matthew Platt. I'm gonna learn a lot of players' names this season. Luke Molyneux, you didn't know he existed till this season.
I didn't know Crowley existed till this, but now he's like oh my god, he's just pinged another ball through. What a player! Someone said, "What game am I watching?" Notts County versus Grimsby. If you haven't started playing Fantasy EFL, get on it. It is it's a great game.
Oh, I've just realised I can watch that too.
Yeah, it's on Sky Plus. There you go, lad.
Oh,
That's
let's
my
get
plan
that
for the
bloody
future.
handball merchant on the screen.
Yeah, honestly, go and watch that goal. But yeah, if you're not playing Fantasy EFL, get yourself on it. It's a pretty just fun and decent game, to be honest. I can't lie, I'm enjoying it. I do make weekly videos on it and post quite a lot about Twitter on it as well. With this goal, we're probably starting to enter the top 1,000 players in the game. So if you're looking for quality advice as well, I'm probably your man. I
Hey,
can't.
it's making that Tranmere 0-0 look loads better because I actually don't think we were that outplayed by them.
No, no.
And they absolutely battered. Was it Stevenage the other day and didn't win?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And now here they are 2-0 up. I thought Dan Cowley was a bit Crowley or whatever his name was a bit shit against Liverpool against Tranmere. So maybe it's coming home for Tranmere
yeah. Maybe so, lad. Maybe
after
so.
2-0 nils.
Scott.
And
Yeah, go on.
well, I was just gonna say, just to finish off, I think the main thing about triple captain is we're like a referee. As managers of our FPL teams, we're like a referee in a football game. You're not going to book a player after 10 seconds. You're going to be reluctant to, even when it's a glaringly bad tackle. the referee will be still a little bit lenient and we'll just wait and we'll just wave on. When really you should have just gone for it and should have just stuck to the rules of the game. And I think that is an analogy for here. It is such a glaringly big game for City. Of course, it could blow up in my face, but if you're going to meet it at face value, I do feel like if every game, if you were to hypothetically think of it that no game doubles, City Ipswich is just a no-brainer in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with that. I do agree with that. And Cuckoo's apparently looking lively in the game against Servette, so maybe if he gets a couple goals, maybe taken off around the half-time 60th minute mark, could be in contention to start. That'd be pretty decent for us owners. Scotty said the good thing about EFL game is there's no transfer limit, so you can pick the best players you think each week. I think because there's so many players to pick from as well, there's not always going to be one set template team, is there?
Yeah.
So I do like it. I think it's a decent game. Hopefully it can pick up some traction and start getting some good numbers as well, which would be decent. Someone says João Felix. What do you think about him as an option at 6.5 million?
I'm not bringing a Chelsea player in anytime soon.
You're not even tempted by that good fixture run?
Not yet. I think if you really are going to bring a Chelsea player in, you have to accept that Palmer's the one reliable source.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe Nicholas Jackson would be someone you could consider, but even then, I just don't fancy Chelsea at the moment. I need to see some kind of identity from them where there's a fairly similar 11 coming out every week before I consider it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Of course, lad, I'm going to ask you, what do you think is going to be the highest scoring game of this week? What are you going for?
I'm going to go for. Oh, I know what you're going to go for,
Oh, yeah.
so I'll save that one for you.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm going to go for City Ipswich. It's going to be a 6-0 job.
Okay, all right, okay. I'm going to go for Forest Southampton.
No, I knew it.
Goal fest. Goal fest written all over it. So yeah, to be honest, who do you think is going to be the highest scoring player this week?
I'm going to put my money where my mouth is and say Haaland.
All right, I'm gonna throw a rogue one out there. I reckon it's going to be Trent.
Fair dues.
That's what I'm going to go with.
I think a close second.
Yeah.
I think. Moving on. No, for some reason I thought that in my head Arsenal were playing Wolves again,
No,
and then I realised it was Villa, and I take everything back. I can't call that game. I really can't.
Yeah. Final question, and then me and Jake are going to finish up. Like I said, I will be live tomorrow, and of course there will be the deadline one as well. Bench one: Robinson, Porro, Lewis, or Garnacho. Who would you bench out of that lot?
Who do United have?
They've got Brighton away.
Lewis, Garnacho. Who are the other two?
Lewis, Garnacho, Porro, and Robinson.
I'd probably bench Garnacho, you know.
I think I would bench Garnacho out of all of those lot as well.
The fixtures are just quite kind to the others as well.
Yeah, I feel it is a toss-up between Robinson and Garnacho. And I think maybe the best thing to do is take a look at Fantasy Football Hub's predicted points model for this week. You know what? We'll do it for you, mate. But if you do have any tight dilemmas and you want to go and look at this for yourself, obviously there is a link in the description to go and sign up for yourself. So let's have a quick look for you on this one. This game week, Nacho is 4 points. What is Robinson? Robinson is 3.8. So if you want a little bit of help from AI, it is suggesting Garnacho is the better player to go for, but it is extremely tight and could very easily swing one way or the other. Me and Jake have opted for Robinson, so yeah. If you've got any other tight calls, go to the link in the description. Check out Fantasy Football Hub's predicted AI tool as well. That is going to call it for today's stream. Like I said, if you did enjoy any of the content, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, as we are on that road to 7,000 subscribers. Me and Jake will be back next week as well, but plenty more content coming your way over the next few days. But thank you very much for watching today, ladies and gentlemen, and good luck in Game Week 2.